All right. Hello, everybody. How we doing? How we feeling? Welcome back to the show. It's good to be back. It's been a little while. Jimmy Moreland here for you, voice actor, audiobook narrator, and music producer. Today, we are back on the stream because I got to get some work done, and I wanted to bring y'all along. So we're going to be doing some live voiceover auditions on the big pay-to-play websites. That's Voice123, that's voices.com. We will take a look at ACX, and then what we're going to do when we get through with all that, because I have a feeling it's going to be a light audition day. So we're going to get into doing some real audiobook work. I've got a brand new audiobook from it's in a long series, so I've been doing this series for quite a while. I think it's the 8th or 9th book that I've done for this author. But I thought it'd be fun today on that to do a real life walkthrough of what it's like to sort of start a project, and specifically doing the 15-minute check. I often see a lot of questions about the 15-minute check on the Facebook groups, and so we'll walk entirely through that process from start to finish, show you exactly how my process goes for that. But first, let's take a look at what we're going to be taking a look at. I'm going to go ahead and open a couple of things in some different windows, and maybe I should have done this beforehand like a professional, but you know what? We're having fun here. We're going to open up, we've got Voice123, and we've got voices.com. I think we like to start on voices, so let's have that up there. Here's what we're going to be seeing today. We're going to be seeing, here are the websites here, voices.com, Voice123. Later we'll look at ACX, and then here is Pro Tools. Now, I work in Pro Tools. By no means do I recommend you work in Pro Tools. If you're just getting started, there are plenty of, there are free options like Audacity is sort of the most common go-to one that's free. And then there are some pretty affordable paid options. Reaper, Studio One, Twisted Wave are usually the three that are pretty highly recommended under the among the narrator and voiceover community. But for right now, we're going to be working in Pro Tools. If you have any questions about what I'm doing, feel free to drop it. I'm monitoring chat as well as I can in both Twitch and YouTube, so wherever you're watching, howdy. Good to see you. And let's get to work, shall we? We're going to go into, let's use my fancy actions here. There we go. We're going to go right into voices.com first. We're going to hit refresh, make sure we're good here. And then we're going to turn on the loop back here so that when it comes time, you can hear that. In fact, no, we'll turn it off for now. All right, we're going to see what we've got over here. Oh, let's turn on the dang old, let's let you see my stupid face here in the corner. Hey, there we are, we're back. And let me make sure the chat is up in case chat comes in. Chat should be up, and so are alerts. So if you want to make a little mandolin sting happen, then do something. Let's go right into analyzing some of these jobs and why or why not we're going to audition. I have a feeling that today is going to be very light on actually submitting auditions. I had some work to do for my agent and for some other direct clients, but those kinds of things I tend to like to protect the privacy of those clients and sub-clients, and so we don't do those on stream. But this is just, we're in what I call the zoo. That is voices.com and Voice123. So first, we're going to acknowledge what a bummer it is to see only an 80% voice match on a job. See here on, let me zoom in just a little bit here, right here, 80% voice match. Voices.com, it's all about everything on both these websites, everything is algorithmically sorted. You need to do your work to make sure that you are high up in the algorithm. And the way that it works on Voices is very, very simple, easy to game, in fact, if you're just getting started. For Voices, getting a 100% voice match is as simple as having a bunch of demos that are tagged appropriately. That's it. Define demo? Doesn't really matter. You could have a 10-second audio clip of just a really good fart, and they're not going to check. But if you tag it conversational, friendly, then you're going to get like good voice matches for jobs that are tagged with those things, which is basically all of them. Real person, tag your fart with those things, and boom, you're well on your way to a 100% voice match. Now, I was set up to the point where I was getting a 100% voice match on damn near everything I saw. However, old old voices.com has been adding categories and adding tags, which means you're not going to have 100% voice matches. However, in this case, it is sort of legitimate in that I've never produced a video games demo. So my max there would have been 90%, but then their tags, Action Star and then Style Abrupt. I've never seen this tag in my life. Very interesting. We're not going to submit for this because, oh God, estimated length 4 seconds. It's 10 words. I guess that's fine. It's probably like a shouting line. A bit early in this stream to be shouting. So we're gonna pass on this one here. I'll go ahead and archive. Let's actually go through real quick and clean out the chaff here. All the jobs that we know that we're not going to do. So actually, it's showing all of the available jobs here. We're just going to check boxes. Basically, if a job is old and crusty, it's been up for a while, it's going to have a ton of responses in line ahead of us. And this is where that algorithmic, that voice match percentage comes into play. Because if you have only like a 20% voice match on something or whatever it is, you can still be heard by the client. It's just that your audition will be shown at the bottom. When clients look at the big list of auditions they've received, they're going to see at the top all the 100%. And within that bucket, 100%, it's chronological. Whoever got theirs in first. So the very top of their list, they're going to see the first 100% voice match audition that came in. And then they're going to see every other 100% voice match audition that came in that there is at that time. And then they're going to start seeing the 90s, again, in the order that they came in. And so forth down the decade tier lists there. So it's really important, A, to have a high voice match percentage. And then it's also important to get your audition in early so that within your bucket, and hopefully your bucket is 100%, within your bucket, you're high up within that list because these people are busy. This person, they've got 104 auditions. They're not going to listen to all 104 auditions. I'd be surprised if they listened to 20. They're probably going to listen to 10. And even of that, they're going to listen to the first 3 seconds. Nope, maybe, nope, maybe. That's how it goes. They're going to listen to a handful, shortlist a few, listen to those more in depth, and make their decision, and then move on to the next thing, because these people are busy. And so are we. So we're not going to waste our time by auditioning for something that has a ton of submissions already in. So let's just go up to the list here and just check the ones that we know we're not going to do. Maybe we'll take a look at that and see why it only has 15 responses. That has 22, that has 10, 86, 90, 158, because it's got a decent payday. And we're just checking all these boxes, and we're going to archive all of these. Only 3, 134. And once we've just done this, just to clear out our feed a little bit, we'll take a look at the other jobs and figure out what's going on with them. That's a Voice 123 audition. Okay, so now we've got 4 jobs to look at. Let's look at why these only have here, lowish audition. Voice match 60%. If I've got a 60% voice match, I can't imagine role salesperson style, egotistical and evil. How strange. Very much a character. This actually looks like the rare proper use of the animation category. Usually those are incorrectly categorized. We're gonna skip this one. It's a really low budget, and I'm not really feeling like a super hard character work right now. You know, we're just trying to get some commercial work here. Super low budget, and it's an audiobook. Oh, brother. Yeah, this is, man, Gary, sorry to call you out, man, but fuck this, dude. I was going to say this belongs on Fiverr. All right, we're going to have to do it. We're going to have to bring up the rate calculator. Bring it up over here and then bring it over here. All right, rate calculator. Here we go. Word count on this audiobook project, 36.4. 36.4. So this is a pretty good estimate. About 4 hours. And you might be thinking, oh, wait, well, what if it's at the top end? $100. $100 for 4 hours of work? That's not so bad. Doesn't take 4 hours to produce a 4-hour audiobook. It can take a beginner upwards of 6x, whatever that number, maybe 10x, depending on how familiar and comfortable you are with cold reading and with editing software, and the other tools that you're going to have to use. It might take you 10x. It might take you 40 hours. Do you want to work 40 hours for $100? Oh, and then there's the other thing you have to remember. At the high end of this range, you're not getting $100. You're getting whatever the amount that you bid times 0.8, because Voices takes a 20% cut of whatever you book. So maximum $80 for, let's look at this budget. We're going to be generous and say 99, and I'm trying to remember. No, we're going to say 80. So your after tax hourly rate for an average beginner workflow, $2.79 per hour. I don't know where you live, but where I live, you can't live on that. You can't even eat on that. Even if your rent was covered, you couldn't eat on that. Holy. Yeah. So I'm also going to flag this. It's been flagged before, but we're also going to flag this. Content that should not be on Voices. Hell, promotion of self-harm at this point. Like, it's so bad. Yeah, I'm reporting that as spam. Like, Gary, brother, like, maybe this is just ignorance, but fuck you, dude. Like, straight up. God. Ugh. Nobody wants to work anymore. Okay, moving up here. Man of God. What does this mean? Good chunky word count. Okay. Yeah, this will be something that we're gonna skip. Something I frequently say on this channel is talent, know thyself. And I'm sure this is a fine project, but like really heavily, overtly religious stuff, not really my bag, and it's kind of a disservice to the client for me to audition there. We'll bring up the time to bring in the calculator again. We got another audiobook. Let's see how bad this one is. Okay, word count 31,857. Budget 260 times 0.8. So we'll just go ahead and put in 260 times 0.8. $208. So as a beginner, you're going to be earning $8.30. Hey, in some states, that's above minimum wage. Amazing. Well, here in Maine, that is not above minimum wage. Ethan, sorry. Maybe this is just a matter of ignorance, but either way, you're taking advantage of people. I'm really sorry, these poor 15 people who have already responded. Like, God, what should the rate on something like this be? 3.5 hours. Like, it needs to be close to $1,000 for it to be like worthwhile for a professional narrator who, has bills. Like, that's the economics of it. So anyone asking for less than that, like, they can pound sand. Okay. That's no jobs available for me on voices.com. That's how she goes sometimes. Let's refresh voice 123. We should have some good stuff here. Rather than clearing out the chaff, we're going to jump right into this one that has 0 responses so far. Here, let's see. Van Wyck, I think is how you pronounce that. We'll double check before we record if we're going to do this. Are they wanting on camera with a mix of direct to camera lines that break the fourth wall? So is this... I'm curious if they're going to want on camera. Let's zoom in here. We're going to have to look up, but let's just say Van Wyck is a solutions company, help you make better moves company. That's just titles. We do way more than hand you a policy once a year. Okay, cool. We're going to read this. Zoom in just a little bit here. That actually looks perfect for me. We're going to look up real quick how to pronounce Van Wyck. We're going to look on Forvo first. Let's, oh wait, I want to do that in a Firefox window because doing it in Chrome is going to be madness. Forvo. Van Wyck. Let's see if it's on here. Here we go. We've got an Africa, like a Dutch pronunciations. Well, let's just hear them. Let's turn on desktop audio. This should be what we need. They're saying Vike. All right, it's the same person 3 times in a row. We're going to look elsewhere. We're going to go to Youglish. So Youglish is super cool. It basically searches all of the like caption files of like all of YouTube, and it starts the play ahead for YouTube right where that word or phrase is used. So let's take a listen. He said Van Wyck. Sorry. Van Wyck. Let's hear another. He said Wyke. She said Wyke. That's Wyke. Van der Wyck. Wyke. Okay, and we've seen that one. Interesting. Now let's see. Van Wyck. Is this a trucking company? It does look like it's a trucking company. Let's see if they've got. Let's see here. Come on. Come on. He said Wyke. All right, and that's on the company channel, so we're going to say Van Wyck. Okay. That might have seemed like a silly waste of time, but it is important, obviously, if you're going to be reading an audition, that you pronounce the name of the company correctly. You may have heard a little chime there, a little update chime. That is my email monitor checker plugin. In my opinion, really important. I've talked about many times that being early on an audition is one of the most important skills or just practices that you can maintain as you're doing this job. And so when an email comes in, especially for voices.com more than anywhere else, when an email comes in for voices.com, if you are at your computer, your DAW is up, your mic is hot, drop what you're doing and do that audition if it's right for you. Because that's how you're going to win more auditions. So let's see here. All right. Let's read an audition. And I haven't read too much. I didn't pre-read this entire script. I want to go in a little bit cold because who knows what's going to happen. Let's find out. Van Wyck is a solutions company. Help you move. Van Wyck is a solutions company. Help you make better moves company. We do way more than hand you a policy once a year. Let's see here. Do we have any notes here? Wit, anthem video, charming self-awareness, straightforward tone, cool. Okay. Van Wyck is a solutions company. Help you make better moves company. We do way more than hand you a policy once a year. We learn about your life, listen to your goals, and help you reach them. We don't work on commission, so your goals guide everything. No sales pitches, no gimmicks, just people who care about meaningful connections and protecting what matters most. You deserve a partner who's in it with you. Okay, interesting. Let me go ahead and turn on the loop back so you can hear the punch and roll here. And protecting what matters most. You deserve a partner who's in it with you, and that's been our mission since day one. Take a breath while we scroll over and up to the top. That's been our mission since day one. What happens when hurdles get in your way? Whether it's protecting your people, your property, or your future, we bring clarity and confidence to every step. Okay, there's an extra gap there. Here we go. Confidence to every step. You'll get the full attention of a boutique firm, and confidence to every step. You'll get the full attention of a clarity and confidence to every step. You'll get the full attention of a boutique firm and the knowledge, experience, and horsepower of a large company. While other agencies play hot potato with your account, experience and horsepower of a large company. Actually, I want to emphasize that differently. Clarity and confidence to every step. You'll get the attention of a clarity and confidence to every step. You'll get the attention of a boutique. Clarity and confidence to every step. You'll get the full attention. Oh my God. To every step. You'll get the full attention of a boutique firm and the knowledge, experience, and horsepower of a large company. While other agencies play hot potato with your account, we'll call you and horsepower of a large company. While other agencies play hot potato with your account, we'll call you once a month, even weekly if you'd prefer. We might even ask, do we actually say that? Just double checking here. It doesn't say to ask it. Okay. If you'd prefer. We might even ask, because here it's about more than insurance. It's about giving you a springboard so you can surge forward with confidence and a little extra oomph. Let's stop settling for boilerplate coverage and get you real custom solutions that move with you. We're gonna stop there. We're not gonna read the very final line, not because of some like, ooh, I'm scared that they're gonna try to steal my audition audio and just use it. Like, no. That's gonna happen 1 out of 500 times. I'm not concerned about that. Instead, we're going to stop because we've already read long enough, basically. For commercial auditions, the standard is maximum of about 60 seconds. You don't get longer than that. There we go. You'll notice I'm not going to listen back. I'm not even going to listen to my edit points. Make that active. Make that active. That should be fun. Bounce out. We're going to call this. Sorry about the echo. There we go. Van Wyck. Yeah, you'll notice I'm not listening back to my edits or anything else. Make these inactive and then there we go. Let's delete all of these. Do we have... What is this? Yeah, okay, perfect. Cool. So, you got to have confidence in your editing and in your workflow so that you're not spending a ton of time listening back to what you've already recorded. You gotta be more efficient than that. You gotta move on. Local, I assume that means lottery. Non-union, it's Canadian. So we talked about the algorithm and how it works over on voices. Here's how the algorithm works on Voice 123. There's two axes. There's the very simple one is just how much are you paying? Like what membership tier are you at? I am on the highest public tier. There's one tier that's higher, but it's invite only. And there are just like, I think it's like 50 men and 50 women who are in that invite only tier. And then for the publicly available tiers, I'm in the top payment tier. So that helps me as far as my placement in the algorithm. The next is basically it's performance based, or that's the idea, is that it's performance based, meaning are you booking jobs? And if not booking, are clients at least liking your auditions? Are they clicking the little heart button? The problem with that is that a lot of clients use the heart button as a means to basically like build a short list. And there can be people who do like a great job, but it's just not a right fit for the ad. And it's not a right fit because like the talent had no business auditioning for it. It's just not the right fit because it's not off spec. It's just not what the client has in their head. And so by no fault of the talent, in many cases, they won't get a like or a favorite on their audition, just sort of by that sort of random chance. And it's a real shame because talent ends up getting penalized in the algorithm just randomly, and it really doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel good to like every day be trying to keep your place in the algorithm up on Voice 123. There's also a half-life. Your position in the algorithm will slowly deteriorate if you're not auditioning more and more and more and more. So if you get really busy, you've got a ton of work and you don't feel the need to be auditioning every day, like multiple hours a day, then that'll start hurting you. And that's what I have experienced recently. I've been booking work, I've been getting likes and stuff, but I've been just busy enough that I haven't been hacking away at Voice 123. And so I've actually slid in my position in the algorithm on Voice 123. I've talked a lot about how when I first got onto it, I made the rookie Voice 123 mistake of auditioning for everything. And that quickly landed me in the bottom 20% algorithmically. And that was a miserable, horrible place to be. I worked myself up to top 10%, but I have since slipped because, like I said, I've got really busy and I haven't been auditioning as much. So we're going to try to rectify that. We're going to try to get back into it. And part of all that, part of the strategy, the gamesmanship that you have to constantly be playing on Voice 123 is being very, very selective about what you do audition for. So here, this is a Canadian lottery ad. I'm not, Canadian is like a generally like a pretty neutral accent. A lot of American actors can do Canadian ads and vice versa, but I'm not gonna risk it. So we're gonna pass on that one. Audio described tour. These are always fun to get. North American general, male adult, yeah, all that's easy. Yeah, we're gonna go ahead and audition for this. Let's put that on there. Native prairie wildflowers and grasses' growth points are at or below ground level. When the fire moves across the prairie, most growth points are not harmed. This allows the plants to regrow with the help of their deep and extensive roots. Okay, we'll fix that one reread that I did in the middle. Sometimes I'll do proper punch and roll, and sometimes I'll do sort of in situ rereads. Feel confident that I don't need to listen to that. We're going to turn on our denoiser and our declicker. Bounce. We're going to call this, we're just going to do it by the client number, 98915. Accept the invite. Drop the audio in. Do I want to use the audiobook text here? I've produced 50 plus audiobooks, and this would be right. What was it? Right up my alley. Say so. Okay, submit. You'll notice I'm not spending a ton of time on these auditions. I'm not rereading it 100 times to try to get it just perfect, and you need to be budget agnostic. Like, obviously, the budget needs to be worth your time. But beyond that, like, you should be spending the same amount of effort on a job that's just barely above your like threshold for, is this worth my time, versus a job that's worth 50 grand. All right, looks like now we're probably just going to be clearing out the rest of these because, so the reasons I'll clear out a job without even really looking into it are, first of all, there are these two numbers. Let me zoom in a little bit for you. 50 out of 50 proposals. The second number is how many proposals the client wanted to hear. The first number is how many they've received. So this one, 74 out of 50. They only wanted to hear 50, but they've already received 74. Their cup runneth over. I'm not sure what happens on the client side for anything over this number. I don't know if they have to like pay Voice 123 extra to listen to more auditions. I'm really not sure how that works. But suffice it to say, I'm inclined to trust the client when they say, hey, we only want to hear 50. I don't want to be audition number 51. And likewise, I don't even want to be late. I don't want to be number 41 out of 50. Like, I just don't want to be that late. Like, anything over 30, usually I'm going to pass on, unless there's a compelling reason. But certainly if it's over the number, so like right now, let's just clear out everything that's over the limit, if you will. Boom, 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 boom. We'll start here and just, this will be easier. Boom. Yes. That things are potentially moving forward on that, so we'll leave that there. Clear that out. We'll start up here. Clear. This will work out perfectly. Clear. We'll look at that one. Clear. Clearing these out. Bunch of these, one here. Okay, so we've got 2 audiobooks. We've got someone looking for a Trump sound-alike. Just off the bat, I don't have a good Trump. I don't have a good Trump in me. Let's see here. I just don't have the stomach to watch enough video to work it up. Let's see here. So here, let's go. We're going to look at this audiobook. We're going to bring up the calculator if we need to. Or we don't even need to do that. Although we are going to look. We're going to pull up the calculator here. So I know I would be passing on this anyway because like they're very like, it needs to be like super, like a super Christian narrator. And again, like we talked about, narrator, know thyself, talent, know thyself. Budget is 500, up to 500. So that's $172 per finished hour. That's $172 per finished hour is not horrible. Like, I can't really think of a situation where I would take that work today, even if it was a really great project. To like for full disclosure, almost every author that I work with these days, I'm working at $250 per finished hour. There's one author who is at a lower rate, not as low as this. They're at a lower rate because they've been coming to me since like the first few, like they were one of my very, very early clients. They like took a huge gamble on this like new narrator. Frankly, I was not very good at the job at the time, but they've stuck with me, and I've done, like 11 books for that author. And so I continue to like give them like the homie price. Yeah, so not a great rate, and obviously not a great fit for me. So we're gonna pass on that one. Next reason I will pass on jobs is going to be the reason we get rid of, I think, all of these, most of these. And that is when it says looking for a quote. Now, we've talked about how Voice 123, the way the algorithm works, basically, if you don't get hired and if you don't get a favorite, that'll ding you in the algorithm. You'll find yourself pushed down in the algorithm. And you can get dinged. You can get a no favorite from a client for any number of reasons. Maybe someone always says this example. Maybe you sound like their ex. You're a perfectly competent actor. You've got a good voice. You've got a good booth and microphone and setup and everything. But you just remind them of their ex. And so they're not going to hire you. And they're not even going to click the little favorite button because it's just too painful. Suddenly you're getting dinged in the algorithm through no fault of your own. You didn't know that you sound like their ex. This looking for a quote thing. They're wanting you to quote, to say like, hey, this is an audiobook. The length is, do we have a length? We don't even have a length. Brother, I can't quote this if I don't have a length. This is so stupid. Like this, actually, I'm going to flag this because it's so stupid. Like, am I missing it? No, there's no. So the problem with the looking for a quote is that the client has a budget. They know what their budget is. They know what they're willing to spend. But by saying looking for a quote, they're wanting you to come under that. They're wanting to get someone who will quote them something lower. And the problem with that is that I am potentially going to get penalized for not being psychic and knowing what that person's number is. I might be the perfect talent for this person, but because I'm not a mind reader and maybe I'll quote it a little bit higher than they were expecting, maybe I don't get hired and maybe I don't get a favorite because I'm just out of their budget. Like, let us know your budget. Like, this can mean two things. Either the most charitable interpretation is that you don't know what you're doing. You're ignorant, you're inexperienced, you don't know what you're doing. You don't know that this is a very bad thing to do for you as the client, as well, obviously, as the talent. Or you have straight up bad intentions by trying to get someone who will quote the lowest possible and just undervalue their own services. And if you're okay with like getting a creative person who is going to put a lot of work into your project, reading your words in an audiobook, if you're okay with like taking advantage of that person and getting them to race to the bottom, like, that's shitty, man. Like, fuck you. Get the hell out of here. So yeah, this sucks. Screw this. And in fact, because this doesn't say the length, there's absolutely no way to quote this. I don't think Voice 123 has a way to quote by like dollars per hour. I think you just need to name a number. And without knowing whether this is a 1 hour audiobook or a 20-hour audiobook, it's impossible to quote. So we're going to flag this. No length, duration, word count makes this impossible to quote. Send. Okay, cool. And we're going to get rid of that. Next. This one let's see here. This one pays out in euros, which is not a problem, but you've got to double check what accents they're looking for. It says English, USA, and Canada. For this project, we're creating four. This is the only line. In the world of power generation and transmission, every moment matters. Bro, you got to give us more than that. Like, how are you going to know? Sorry, that's just annoying to me. We're gonna skip that. Here's another nook looking for a quote, and it's AI software. What kind of AI software we're talking about here? Like, okay. See, this, at least like as far as copy goes, this gives us enough to like get a feeling for what the tone, the voice, you know. This is like, hey, like we're we're no nonsense. We're getting the job done. Operating a modern fleet demands precision, fast loading, optimal routing, on-time delivery. When problems happen, every minute of downtime is costing you money. We all know that preventative maintenance is the solution. So why are we risking fleet performance on manual odometer readings and paper inspections? That might be one style of read that they might be looking for. And that's why it's important to give us more than just, if they'd only given us this line, that's not enough information to really develop a sense for the kind of read that they're looking for. So for any clients out there considering how to get better auditions out of talent so that you can better select talent, this is a collaborative effort here. We're all trying to get the best spots out there, so work with us here. Okay, so that is everything on. We're going to refresh both. We got a new. It's a low budget, but you know what? There's no. So on Voice 123, you get penalized for being over eager with auditioning. On Voices.com, that is your playground. You do not get penalized in any way for submitting for stuff you aren't right for submitting stuff. There's no penalty other than wasting your own time. So why not? We're here. We're on the stream. Let's go for it. On May 9th, how are we going to read this? May 9? I'm going to say 9th. On May 9th, 2026, Wittenberg welcomed Dr. Christian M.M. Brady as its 16th president. Since beginning his tenure in June, President Brady has created a renewed sense of excitement and hope in Wittenberg's future. In his first 6 months, he has already commenced a strategic planning process, partnered on new recruitment pipelines, secured major gifts, and hired excellent leadership. Major gifts and hired excellent leadership in enrollment management and philanthropy and alumni engagement. Oh my God. And philanthropy and alumni engagement. This is a pair. Come back to here. Secured major gifts and hired excellent leadership in enrollment management and philanthropy and alumni engagement to help advance the university's. We put in a gap there. Excellent leadership in enrollment management and philanthropy and alumni engagement to help advance the university's mission. But what matters most to him is our students and their success, so much so that he is teaching a personal mission development course to all first-year students. As he says, on the Wittenberg way, our students discern their calling. As he says, on the Wittenberg way, our students discern their calling, develop the knowledge and skills needed for successful careers. And prepare for purposeful and fulfilling lives. Now it's our turn to help light the way. Okay. A little bit of a rough read, but you know what? That's fine. So let's be super, super zippy about this edit. I've done pretty in-depth sort of explainers, walkthroughs on how the punch and roll, how it works, not just in Pro Tools, but sort of my specific approach to it. Every editor that you come across is going to have a different approach. And for my workflow, Pro Tools makes life easy for sure. Make it active, and then we're going to do a de-esser on this one. I feel like I was especially SE. We're going to call this Wittenberg. Ooh, wrong bird. we go. Reply. Hello? 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 Got an email. Voice123. We will check that out in a second. General. Here we go. 5. It is good that Voices does this. They actually show you. They don't hide it, well, until you get to this screen. The job budget's $125. It shows you the actual amount that you'll be paid because Voices, in addition to charging you every year, Voices will take 20% out of everything you earn on platform. So that is what it is. Make it active. Okay. Let's get another one set up and ready to go. And let's head back over to Voice123 and see what just came in. Sam's Club internal pitch. Middle-aged adult, quiet intensity, but can be playful, but not take it to unique voice, not commercial. Must read the full script to be considered. Well, I will if it's not too long. That's way too long, brother. They've got a reference. We will see the reference. So they do say specifically they don't want you to sound like Willem Dafoe, but that's just sort of like they want a unique vibe, which is good. All right, we'll try to give him a little bit unique. I don't know what that means, but we're gonna find out. I wasn't born to sit on this sofa, to miss out, to sleep through it, to go it alone. I was born to join in, born to sit up, show up, walk through doors, and to open them too. My hat touched the mic. Let's go ahead and put the loop back on so you can hear the punch and roll. I was born to join in. That's it. I was born to join in. Damn. I was born. Join in. Born to sit up, show up, walk through doors, and to open them too. I'm a hey neighbor. Okay. Walk through doors and to open them too. I'm a hey neighbor, join us kind of person. I'm your personal pancake chef. I'm arriving with a playlist. I'm known to RSVP. I was born to join in. I'm a budding decorator. I'm learning to be unafraid of thorns. I'm one idea after another. I'm all ears. I'm casting my vote. I'm done spectating. Life's too... You know what? Now that I'm getting an idea of the vibe of this spot, I'm going to start it over. Yeah. I wasn't born to sit on this sofa, to miss out, to sleep through it, to go it alone. I was born to join in. Born to sit up, show up, walk through doors, and to open them too. Let's read that last one a little better. Show up, walk through doors, and to open them too. I'm a hey neighbor, join us kind of person. I'm your personal pancake chef. I'm arriving with a playlist. I'm known to RSVP. I was born to join in. I'm a budding decorator. I'm learning to be... I'm a budding decorator. I'm learning to be unafraid of thorns. I'm one idea after another. I'm all ears. I'm casting my vote. I hit the mic again with my hat. I'm all ears. I'm casting my vote. I'm done spectating. Life's too short for that. I'm traveling with strangers and running with them too. I'm first in line. I'm last to leave. I'm sneaking a taste. I'm making room for one more. I'm surprisingly charming. I'm full of heart. Let's read that last one a little differently. I'm surprisingly charming. I'm full of heart. I'm a lot of people. I'm full of heart. I'm a lot of people, but one community. One colorful, interesting, welcoming, warm, fun, helpful, weird, and wonderful community. And a weird and wonderful community. And a one-of-a-kind club. Sam's Club. Sam's Club. Come join us. It's this, right? A kind club. Sam's Club. Come join us. Let's reread that last again. And a one-of-a-kind club. Sam's Club. Come join us. Sam's Club. Come join us. Come join us. Okay. Sometimes the tag, you'll read it 20 times. I think this is right. Sam's Club. Come join us. Club. Sam's Club. Come join us. Yep. Let's do this. Fix our transition points here. Boom, boom. Just found out that there's a Sam's Club up in Augusta. My lady interviewed for a job up in the area, and I had some stuff to do up in the area, so we went together. And driving around, we saw the Sam's Club, and it was like, oh. So we're gonna put the D-click on. We're gonna go ahead and put the de-esser on. I feel like I'm extra essy today. We're just gonna call it the Sam's Club. Sam's Club. Okay, accept invite. Here we go. Delete that line. And submit. Okay. All right. So that's everything on that side. So let's take a look at ACX. 3 audiobooks in production. Holy. Okay, because I haven't received a thing. Okay. 3 audiobooks in production, and they're all from the same author. This guy has his stuff together, man. He's what we're gonna look at though is, so we'll go ahead and go full screen here. All right. So please show me my filters. Here we go. Hydrate, everybody. This is your hydration check. So I see pretty frequently on the Facebook groups, the audiobook narrator Facebook groups, which, by the way, if you're looking to get into this work, highly recommend joining the Facebook groups. There's, if you have a question, I guarantee a dozen other people have asked the exact same question. So the little search function in those groups is very, very helpful. Always the number one research tool that's recommended is called Narrator's Roadmap. If you're looking to get into this business, this is where you start. Go to narratorsroadmap.com. Not affiliated, but when I got started 5 years ago, this thing, if you seriously want to get into this, especially if you're like quitting a job or, making a major life change, before you make that leap, every link on this page needs to be purple. You need to go through every single, you just need to be consuming tons and tons and tons of resources to where you know what you're getting into. And even then, brother, even then, you're going to be, there's going to be some surprises, and it's probably not what you think it is, to be perfectly honest. This work ain't for everybody. I'm not saying I've had harder jobs, that's for sure. I was in the military. But this is it's not for everybody. But all that's to say, let's take a look, because again, on the Facebook groups, you see pretty frequently, it kind of never ends. There's like, oh, there's no jobs, there's no books on ACX. Let's just see how true that is, and we'll talk about why that might seem true, but that means you're doing it wrong. So right now, let's take a look at the only filters that I have on is I'm only showing stuff that's looking for male narrators. I probably could have the gender neutral one checked and go ahead and let's go ahead and check that. That added one book to the queue. I'm not going to check don't be silly. Accent, I don't really check that because it's just too much. It's just too much, man. Like if you do have like a very strong regional accent that you have a hard time, like that you wouldn't be able, basically if you have a British or American accent of whatever flavor of those two accents, then you're going to be generally acceptable for like 90% of books. You really are. It's not super common that like, no, we must have a British actor or no, we must have an American actor. Usually they're more or less interchangeable depending on the vibe that the content is going for. But if you, for example, have a strong Portuguese accent or something like that, then you probably want to check that box, and it is going to be harder for you to find work. But that's not to say it's not out there. So I don't check anything on accent. Language, like, yeah, obviously I want English, but it's so rare to see anything else, and I'm kind of interested just to see what those other projects look like. So leave it unchecked. But genre, the only thing I uncheck is straight up erotica. I have everything else, even stuff that I probably wouldn't do. Like I'm not gonna get hired for a lot of romance. I'm not gonna get hired for a lot of religion and spirituality. But I do want to see what's out there. I'm just not interested. I don't really care about erotica. I'm not gonna read it. I'm not gonna audition for it, and I don't really care to see what's out there. You can find someone else who's streaming who can do that for you. So really, what's important to me is just that like I don't see all the stuff that's looking for the ladies only, and I care about the budget. Now, I don't look in this super top budget because I'll show you. Oh, you're either going to see this, nothing, or it's going to be scams. Anything in this like top bucket, like I'm sorry, like if you've got that kind of budget, then you probably are going through an agency and not going to ACX. Just putting that out there. But the 200 to 400, that puts things right in my working price range. I think I said earlier when we were looking at the calculator that $250 per hour is what most of my authors are currently on. That's because they're long-term like clients who I'm not gonna like be like cranking the thumb screws on them from project to project. But my new author project rate is higher than that. Inflation it hits us all, and audiobook narration is no exception. So my rate is higher than that these days for new clients. But all that's to say, let's take a look here. First, like when you're just like scrolling through, just like judge a book by its cover. In this price range, this budget range, you're not going to see a lot of like true slop. You're not going to see a lot of the super low effort like template book covers that are just like almost like clip art background with like Comic Sans text on it. You're not going to see a lot of that in this price range. You will see some like kind of AI slop. Like, sorry to call you out, whoever this is, but this is giving AI slop to me. 3 lines in the middle of the road. I play a lot of GeoGuessr. I can't think of anywhere in the world certainly that would look like this. There are parts of the middle line would be dashed. This car is driving outside of, like, they're on the shoulder. And how many fingers does this hand have? We might have a 1, 2, 3, 4. Is that 5? I don't know. Anyway, this road line is impossible. Can't fool me. I play too much GeoGuessr. Anyway, which is not to say that like it's a fine cover even if it is AI, but you gotta wonder like where else are they cutting corners and using AI tools if they're willing to have their book cover potentially be AI. That's all I'm saying. So so let's say that we wanted to look at this book. Let's say we believe them that this was a real commissioned art piece. Okay, so they pasted. You can paste the audition script right into the interface on the client side, which gives you this like real like raw code kind of mess. But then to see it with like the line breaks properly rendered, you have to click this, but that means you can't download it. And like if you like to do your own formatting and spacing or like quickly throw it onto your tablet or something like that, so you're not reading off your main computer screen, it's really obnoxious. But whatever, that's how it is. Let's look at the About This title. They have properly filled out all of this information here. Doesn't have a ton of ratings, but it's rated well. Like this looks like a good, proper, like this is a real project. Nothing here is screaming like this is a scam or this is like a BS project. This seems for real. These notes aren't as important for things that are being paid per finished hour, like it's just a budget. This is super important for anything royalty share. If you're going to be gambling your own time on whether or not the project will sell, this is where the rights holder is selling you, the narrator, on like, hey, this is going to sell. I've got X amount of followers on social media. I've got X amount of pre-orders. It's the advanced readers copies have already done this and da-da-da-da. That's where they're selling you. So yeah, but no, this like looks like a totally good, perfect, fine project. Really quick thing to notice here, and this seems like pretty good. Just like I was talking about on the voiceover sites, the same is very, very true on ACX. You need to be early with your audition. Today is January 7th. It's my anniversary today, by the way. We went and walked to our lovely little local coffee shop through about a foot of snow. It's very snowy up here in Maine, repping the Maine Fiddle Camp. It's very snowy up here in Maine, so we made a little walk to the coffee shop. And we're going to be doing some nice dinner later, but right now, all about that stream, baby. All that's to say, today's the 7th. This project was posted today. I don't know when today, but sometime after midnight today. They probably already have at least a dozen auditions in. And audiobook auditions are longer than commercial auditions. I said earlier that commercial, the standard is a minute. Cut it off at that point. Don't be doing auditions longer than a minute for the most part. For audiobooks, 3 to 5 minutes is the standard. It needs to be longer, so it needs to be usually at least 3 minutes just so that you can get into the meat of a scene to sort of get a little bit of a sense of an arc, an emotional arc. You might need that much text to get to the point where multiple characters are interacting with each other. The perfect scene for an author or rights holder to give you in an audition is something where if it's a protagonist and an antagonist of different genders speaking directly to each other. That's what you want. The two voices you're probably going to hear the most throughout the book, different genders, back and forth talking to each other in the same breath, more or less. The rights holder, as a rights holder, you need to know, can the narrator do multiple genders? Because apparently I hear from a lot of rights holders that is a real problem, that like, oh man, like loved the way that this person read, but when they read like the opposite of their own gender, forgive for simplicity's sake, we're simplifying the beautiful and wonderful kaleidoscope of gender. But for simplicity's sake, for when it comes to reading the opposite gender, a lot of narrators really shit the bed. So My recommendation, if you feel like you might have an issue with that, is to listen to a lot of audiobooks. Do some studying. Listen to different narrators and how they tackle that. Try to determine like what you feel for yourself is obnoxious versus is good. And maybe model what you do after that. Listen back to yourself and compare it to those other narrators. And you'll get a sense for how well you're doing. But all that's to say, this person has probably received at least a dozen auditions. They're longer than commercial auditions. That's a lot of time. I mean, if they got a dozen, that's already an hour of audio that they have to sort through. That's just a dozen. And I've heard from rights holders directly that sometimes they will get over 150 auditions on a project. And again, they come in quick. There are other people out there all over the world who are at their computer refreshing ACX several times a day, waiting for a new project to come up. And as soon as they see one, they click the audition button, they go, and they'll get that turned around in under 10 minutes. And that sounds crazy, but especially when you're starting out and you've made that leap to like do this full time or like really give it a crack, that's what you have to do. You need to be doing that until you're so busy with recurring follow-up work from previous clients that you couldn't possibly take another audition. I haven't auditioned on ACX since, what's the last audition I submitted? 2023. Because I've been too busy. I filled up my pipeline. My pipeline is now basically self-sustaining. I've got projects that are coming in from authors I've worked with before. I've got projects coming in from my agent, who is not specifically an audiobook agent. You do not need an agent for audiobooks. Don't get it twisted. You don't need it. I have an agent for commercial voiceover, and they will also sometimes send me video game stuff and animation stuff and audiobook stuff. And so I've actually booked a few audiobooks through them, and it's been great. But even those, it was like a bit of a panic trying to find out like, okay, how am I going to slot this in? Because I've got my clients packing my schedule. How am I going to fit in this client that I just booked sort of on accident by submitting an audition through my agent? Made it work. Yeah, all that's to say, when you are getting started, the idea that, there's not enough projects, there's not enough projects. There are. Rights holders will frequently put up a project, and as soon as they get like kind of overwhelmed with the auditions that roll in, they'll get like 30 in the first 6 hours, they will take the audition down. That does not mean it's a fake project or that they've necessarily hired someone or whatever it is. They just want to stop the emails from coming, because every audition they get an email from ACX. You've received an audition. They just want to stop getting their inbox flooded. So they'll take the project down, take their time sorting through all the auditions that they've got, and probably at that point hire someone from that batch. It's rare that you'll see it go back up. That means whatever that window is, you need to get into that window. So whether you're working something part-time or you're doing night shifts or you're staying home with the kids and doing stuff, you need to be able to click refresh on ACX at least every 2, maybe 3 hours. Maybe more frequently than that. And you need to have your recording set up such that if an audition comes in, you can click record within a few minutes. If it means like, I got to drive down the road to my little office space that I rent and that's where I've set up my little studio. No. Like, you're going to be so far behind the game against people like me who I basically live in this booth. It's a detached building from my main house. That is, if you can make that work, if you're searching for real estate right now or something like that, it's the ideal situation because my partner and the cats and everything, they can go about life as usual in the main house, and it's impossible for them to interrupt me out here in the booth. And that's all to say, like, I don't have to wait on anyone else. I don't have to wait on any other conditions. If I see an audition I want, I basically just have to Alt-Tab to Pro Tools, and I hit record. I'm recording right now. Like, that's how, ideally, that's how quick your turnaround needs to be. And then B, all the other stuff that comes into play as far as skills go. Being fast at editing, you know, don't, I'm not theater trained. I'm an old military, propagandist. I don't have like theater training or anything like that. And for my friends who are theater trained, you might have the temptation to like go back to school and like do like, oh, I'm going to do deep script interpretation and I'm going to highlight and I'm going to draw stuff and I'm going to print out my script because, it's important that so that I can gesticulate and hey, like if that's your process, fine. But like consider that this job it is a performance job. It is an acting job, but it's an efficiency job. You need to get processes down to where things are quick. Let's see here. Just double checking. So, yeah, that's my take on the current state of ACX. Like, I think it's still a perfectly valid, a perfectly viable way to get into audiobook narration. I've been doing this for 5 years, and or maybe 6. I started in 2020, and it is now 2026, so over 5 years. I know I was very lucky in sort of how quickly things took off for me, and I was able to build this pipeline that lets me sort of like kind of cruise control my way through audiobook narration. Like, I am very lucky. I know that. I've got a very supportive partner who was like just both of our sort of work life income savings situations, like everything just sort of worked out right for us. And I know that that's not that way for everybody, especially if you've got kids. Like, good luck. I really feel for you, and I wish you the best of luck. But for folks who are really trying to make this work, I do still believe that ACX can work for you. I do caution people who are looking to the old masters. And I say that tongue-in-cheek because like those old masters are still working today. Your Scott Bricks, your Johnny Heller, all of those, all those people who have some great educational material. I've had a private coaching session with Scott Brick. That was a lovely gift from my lovely partner. But for their advice for someone who's trying to get into the industry today is not super applicable, because when they got started, they were mailing demo tapes on cassettes. This was before CDs for a lot of them. They were mailing physical cassettes to publishing companies and so forth in order to get hired. And they didn't have their own home booths. They were going into a studio to record a project. Someone else was directing the session. Someone else was doing the editing. Someone else was mastering. Very different world today. Today we have to wear all the hats. And so, auditioning on ACX is its own unique skill. And like, I love Scott Brick. I love Johnny Heller. I bet they have never once submitted an audition on ACX. That's my feeling. Maybe they've done it just sort of like to see what it's like, but they've spent time in different trenches in a different war. There's a new war altogether, baby. Different trenches here. Okay, so that's enough ACX talk. I had an email come in. Let's take a look at which website here. We've got this. A lot of Western Governors University. Okay, sure. Prepare for in-demand roles with MSN degrees that pay off. Let's read that again. Prepare for in-demand roles with MSN degrees. Prepare for in-demand roles with MSN degrees that pay off. Master's degree graduates across all of WGU's Master's degree graduates across all of WGU's. This is hard. Master's degree graduates across all of WGU's graduate programs see an average salary increase of $34,330 within 4 years of graduation. Join a university that prioritizes real-world success. Learn more at wgu.edu. Okay. Little peek behind the curtain in just a moment. Prepare for in-demand roles. If this was... Actually, I'll have to edit this real quick. Master's degrees that pay off. Master's degree... Actually, I didn't get that until like way over here. 10 degrees that pay off. Master's degree graduates across all of graduation. Join a 4 years of graduation. Join a university that prioritizes real-world... Okay. I was going to say that if this job was over on Voice 123, I would not audition for it. And that is because, for whatever reason, I rarely book education stuff. For whatever reason, yeah, just education stuff. I just so rarely book it that I would sort of trust that trend to hold true. Sorry, there's an echo. I would trust that trend to hold through enough to not want to like risk myself algorithmically on Voice 123. But again, on voices.com, it's a zoo. There's no penalty for auditioning for everything and not succeeding. Like, no penalty. Do whatever you want. Let's go ahead and give ourselves some more tracks to work with. Boom. We've got another job here. Let's take a look. Well-lived voice, but not too gray. I'm not looking for a Sam Elliott. You're not looking for a Sam Elliott. Okay. Out here. These two words, if your script starts with out here, I'm ready. Out here, nothing comes easy. But at a certain point, the noise of life vanishes and the details come into focus. We used to hunt in cotton, printed with patterns of leaves and twigs. Being soaked, frozen, and miserable was part of the game. We replaced complacency with innovation. Cotton with Gore-Tex, leaves and twigs with Innovation. Cotton with Gore-Tex, leaves and twigs with science-backed concealment. Misery with focus. We live for the details, for the pursuit, and it doesn't happen by going with the flow. Little two Texas there. Live for the details, for the pursuit. Live for the details, for the pursuit, and it doesn't happen by going with the flow. Go against the current. Cool. They're not specifically looking for Southern, and I'll make mention like, hey, I don't think it's too Southern. I think it's just enough there. We can back it off if we need to, or we can punch it up if we need to. Hell! But if your script starts with out of here, that's what you're going to get. You're going to get an out here read. Bounce, and this is, who is this? Whatever. We're just going to do the reference number here. Job number 837032. Reply. General. Direct session. I can tone down the Texas. I can tone down the Texas if you want. Sure. Budget's $250. Select the file. There it is. And submit. How quick was that? Like, I'm actually curious, like, how quick that turnaround was. The email notifying me of the job just came in at 12:48. It's 12:50 now. Like, that's not to say that's how fast I did the audition, because the audition will show up in the feed a couple of minutes before the email will hit at least my inbox. I don't know if that's just a Gmail thing or maybe certain people's email servers process stuff faster, but for Gmail anyway, that's just how it is. But actually, let's go answered. Outdoor hunting. Let's see how many people are in. Details. 6 responses. I bet I was in the first 2, maybe 3. That was a quick turnaround. So yeah, that's how you got to be. That's how quick there. That means there are 6 other people who are like me right now. They're locked in. They're at their computer. They're ready. They're doing what we're doing. Like this stream, it's not a performance, man. This is like what I would be doing anyway if I was like locked in. I can be a bit lazy, you know. A little bit lazy. But when I'm locked in, like this is what the job looks like. For real, this is what the job looks like. The job is auditioning. When I book something, yay, I'll pour some whiskey and I'll have it. But then, doing the actual book session, that's, whatever. Set aside 30 minutes and you'll read the same 20 words over and over and over for 30 minutes and then, whatever. Nice little payday. But the job, the way that you earn that payday is by putting in hours and hours and hours, just like this, sitting here, refreshing voices.com and voice123 over and over and over again. All right. What's our stream timer on? I do want to... hour and 24. I think we've got enough juice left in the tank. We are going to start... We're going to do our first 15 minutes of our next book. So here's what we're going to do. Let's see here. We're going to do something... We're going to do a little bit of just messing around here to prepare, because we're going to switch over to our audiobook project. We're going to do... this is something I think I would like to try to turn into a video. So let's go ahead and make Pro Tools full screen. Please. Hello? Oh, is Pro Tools crashing? What's going on? Pro Tools full. Thank you. So I think what we're going to do... I'll try to we actually need our... we need our audiobook template. Okay. And we're going to double check over here. Get over into this sheet. Okay. Let's go ahead, actually go to Positron. I want to get this ready to go. Actually, I'll go ahead and show you what Positron looks like when you're setting up a new project. This is Positron. This is what I use to proof, meaning when I've finished recording, I've edited it, and it's in theory ready to submit. There's one more step. You need to proof it to make sure that you've actually read what was on the page. It's much more frequently than you might imagine. You drop words, you switch words around, you say the wrong word, stuff like that happens. It happens. And this is a tool that basically it listens to your audio and it looks at the words and it compares them and it marks for you where it doesn't sync up. Positron's awesome. I would never work without it if I could help it. So we're going to go ahead and do create new project. This is audiobook number 53 for me, and it's USS Crusader. Let's do the drag and drop, because I'd like to have this folder open anyway. Come on. All right. Crusader. And we're dropping in the PDF. There it is. I don't turn on noise detection because I find it's way too sensitive. And in fact, proofing sensitivity I have on normal rather than extra sensitive. I feel like it does a pretty good job. There are some of these other things that are like, I don't know. I just take it pretty much default settings. Works fine for me. There we go. So I'm doing that before I record this first chapter because it needs time to process the text. And this is a longer book. How long is this one? Hold on, let's see here. This book is, I can go ahead and do that over here. This book is 90,000 words, so a little bit under 10 hours. So yeah, this is going to be super awesome, everybody. So just looking at these estimated times here, 15 minutes is going to be more like 2 chapters, but we're just going to do, we might do 2. Let's see how we feel after doing the first chapter. So let's also do a little bit of housekeeping on this project. This is my template. This is the template that I've created. I've got chopped up bits of room tone, not silence, but room tone. And I don't know if you can, text is probably tiny there, but these files are labeled room tone fan on. This is the project, or these are the bits of room tone that I use during the winter months because I got the fan running and a space heater in front of that fan for intake and exhaust. Anyway, having a template, great way to expedite your workflow. And I've also just created a bunch of like dummy chapters, as well as placeholders for opening credits, introduction, prologue, retail sample, 15-minute check, all that stuff. This book does not have an introduction or a prologue, so we're going to get rid of those. And this book also does not have an epilogue. Get rid of that. This book does have 47 chapters. How many chapters does this have? 47. So we're going to go duplicate that 17 times, or is it 16? We'll do 17. Probably have an off by 1 error there, and that's okay. And the bummer thing here is that there's no like super like intelligent way. Well, let's find out. Let's work together here. Batch rename. Find chapter 30 dot dupe way. Actually find 0 dot no. Starting number. Okay. Numbering. Starting number 31. Clear existing name. Add chapter underscore. And then it's going to append the number increment 1. Okay. Doesn't need to be the, yeah, the underscore was not what we needed. Let's go rename again. Space. Okay. There we go. Cool. Neat. Love it when it works out. Okay. Before I hit save, I don't want to save over my template, so we're going to go save as. And we're going to put it into audiobooks, new, 052 or 3 USS Crusader. 053 USS Crusader. Here we go. All right. This project's ready to go. Also with this, I'll drag this over briefly. I have my entire mastering stack here. My mastering chain is here. My general, like just for levels, I've got 2 layers of channel strips. I've got a limiter. They're all really gentle. This one's 2.5 to 1. This one is 4 to 1, but the threshold's quite high. And then this limiter is doing very, very, very little. This limiter should rarely be working. And then I've got all my denoise tools. My mouth declick being the single most important tool for any narrator to have. Highly recommend it for general voiceover as well. Here's the other thing. I've been able to monitor chat this entire time because on my tablet, which is eyeballs down right here, actually, you know what? I could bring in my tablet from... Nah, we're not going to do that today. But my ability to very quickly and easily monitor chat is going away because I'm going to be reading off my tablet. I know that for all the voiceover auditions, I had the text right here on the right side of the screen. However, the sort of deal that I've made with this particular client, this author, is like, yeah, I can narrate this stuff on stream, but don't put up the raw script because the versions of these scripts that I get are frequently not for print. Sometimes there are annotations still present. There's some formatting. It's just not the best like visual presentation, and so obviously an author wants to protect themselves from that. So I'm going to try to do a little bit of I do think I want to turn this into a short YouTube video, just detailing the 15-minute check process. So let me make sure there's positron. I'm going to bring this over into a different window, this over into a different window. Y'all don't need to see my calendar, do you? We're going to go ahead and open ACX back up and get into... Oh, we don't actually have this project yet. That's okay. Or, you know what? No, we're just going to read. I guess we're not going to try to turn this into a video because we don't have that project yet. So, okay, quick details here. First of all, if you're a fan of the USS Hamilton series, first of all, you're in luck because this is part of that series. But, spoiler alert, this is part of that series. This is book number 16, I think? 15, 16 of the series. I've been narrating the series since book 9, I believe. Super fun series that follows the adventures of Captain Galvin Quintos and his, merry crew of military misfits and all kinds of hijinks that they get into. I am reading this essentially cold. I've done a little bit of a naughty, and I have started using, let's just say, research assistants to expedite my audiobook prep. And it's a lifesaver because that cuts several days off of my production time. And for this book in particular, which is already published, like you can buy the ebook right now and start reading along with me if you'd like. It's important that these things get out there and start moving quick. Ice drops, by the way, great thing to have in the studio. Yeah, there, as far as, content warnings, trigger warnings, that kind of stuff, not really going to happen in this book. There might be there's occasional little bit of profanity, but they'll say fuck occasionally, but we're adults. We can say fuck. Nothing that would qualify as a slur. So if you're sensitive to that, none of that kind of garbage is going to be in here. These books will not generally have anything amounting to sexual violence. There will be violence for sure, but it's not like overly gruesome and graphic. Most people who die in this book die because their spaceship explodes, and it's that's as close as you get to the gruesome reality of death for the most part in these books. Sometimes there's some hand-to-hand combat or whatever. But this author does not tend to get too grisly. So really no content warnings that, we're certainly not going to get a TOS violation from Twitch or YouTube on this, I don't think. So I'm not going to get, we're just going to hit record. We're going to start reading. You're going to be hearing real punch and roll. This is actually this is how the work goes. And so I do a 2-second pre-lead for my punch and roll. That's my jam. Once I hit record here, I don't know if you noticed this this crazy Excel spreadsheet here, but I keep very meticulous track of chapter by chapter my recording time and my editing time. So I'm going to have a timer running, which means I'm not going to be yapping a lot. If I stop to yap, I'll pause my little timer down here. Otherwise, I'm going to work for the next approximately 22 minutes. I'm going to be reading. So come along with me on this journey. If you do have a chat thing that you kind of like, you got a burning question or whatever, I need an audio cue because I don't have visually anywhere that I'm monitoring chat. In fact, let me do one last little check here. Nothing. If you got something that's burning that you want me to know or to answer, because I'm happy to answer questions or talk about gear or process, you got to do something that's going to trigger a notification. Meaning, like you don't have to subscribe, but just simply following the channel, which doesn't cost you any money. Following the channel will give me a little mandolin stinger, and I'll press pause and I'll chat. I'll say hi. But let's start with chapter 1 of USS Crusader. Chapter 1. Somewhere in deep space. USS Crusader. Captain Galvin Quintos. Day 3 of a 6-day transit to Topiaris, Liberty World system. 3 months I'd been retired. 3 months of peace at the ranch with Pristy. Then Admiral Gilbert called, reminding me about an obligation I still owed. He made it clear the debt was coming due. It was complete bullshit, but here I was anyway. I sat within the why is this waveform so tall? Holy. This is stressing me out. Okay. Here we go. Bullshit, but here I was anyway. I sat within the padded confines of USS Crusaders. Shit, but here I was anyway. I sat within the padded confines of USS Crusader's captain's mount, glancing up confines of USS Crusader's captain's mount, glancing up a million billion confines of USS Crusader's captain's mount. Glancing up, a million billion stars twinkled back at me via the 360-degree hat-band viewport. We were in between manufactured 360-degree hat-band viewport. We were in between manufactured wormhole transits, a time necessary for the Omninaut's 2 massive propulsion drives to cool down to within nominal operating levels. Somewhere on Deck 52, passengers were attending a zero-gravity wine tasting. I need to check. I know how to say this word. I've said it before, but I just need to... Sometimes you need a gut check. The word is sommelier. 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 We've got Forvo here. Let's hear it. Ooh, let's hear an actual French speaker.
Sommelier.
Sommelier. Let's hear the other French pronunciations.
Sommelier.
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 Sommelier. Let's hear it in English.
Sommelier.
It's a British, and it's giving me those.
Sommelier.
Sommelier. Sommelier. Sommelier?
Sommelier.
Sommelier. Sommelier. Whatever. Seems like any of those will be sufficient. Down to within nominal operating. Here we go. Down to within nominal operating levels. Somewhere on Deck 52, passengers were attending a zero-gravity wine tasting in the Sommelier Lounge. Yeah. To within nominal operating levels. Somewhere on Deck 52, passengers were attending a zero-gravity wine tasting in the Sommelier Lounge. I had seen the event schedule. 2,000 credits per person to sample wines while floating. Meanwhile, my crew was monitoring plasma temperatures that could vaporize the entire ship if they spiked 3 degrees. Soon enough, we would be entering our 3rd wormhole. Everything was being done by the book. Word had come down from the highest level. Safety protocols will be strictly enforced. That's what happens when you have 3,200 quasi-tourists packed into what used to be one of the U.S. Space Navy's most feared warships. My minimized 1,500-person crew pretended this was normal duty. It wasn't. This was punishment dressed as logistics. The passenger manifest read like a celebrity directory. Politicians, entertainment moguls, tech billionaires, the kind of people who considered luxury a baseline expectation rather than a privilege. EUNF had promised them expectation rather than a privilege. EUNF had promised them expectation rather than a privilege. EUNF had promised them the ultimate frontier experience in uncompromising comfort. Marketing had delivered gold-embossed brochures with deck-by-deck amenities, 3 restaurants with real Earth-imported ingredients, an infinity pool. I wanted to get that. Deck amenities, 3 restaurants with real Earth-imported ingredients. Yeah. I figured that was going to be hard to say. 3 restaurants with real Earth-imported ingredients. Yep, okay. Real Earth-imported ingredients, an infinity pool with simulated ocean views, a botanical... Real Earth-imported ingredients, an infinity pool with simulated ocean views, a botanical garden spanning 2 full decks, private suites larger than most single-family apartments. Grimes sat at helm, shoulders larger than most single-family apartments. Grimes sat at helm, shoulders hunched, jaw working like he was chewing words he couldn't say. He knew what everyone knew. We were glorified bus drivers now. I had been surprised to see Stefan Dorota amongst the crew. As of late, he had been assigned... So, I don't know if he's going to talk... Let's see here. I'm just checking real quick to see who's going to be speaking in this chapter, because I think it's an important note to make. Let's see here. We're glorified bus drivers. Right. Now. I'll do this here. To see Stefan. So, for commercial voiceover, any kind of voiceover, your animation, commercial, video games, etc. It's a different industry than audiobooks. It really is. They're very, very different. Primarily because you're usually playing some kind of version of yourself. Animation in video games can really push the envelope, but certainly in commercial, you're kind of playing a version of yourself, one way or another. And with that, it's extremely important that you are authentic to yourself, which is why it is wildly inappropriate to audition for something that calls for a specific spec of someone of a particular background. What I'm getting at is, for example, if a spec calls for someone who is African American. Obviously, that's not me. But if I were to put on a voice and audition for that job anyway, that is rightly a potentially career-killing mistake. There are people whose careers have been ended because it was discovered that they were doing vocal blackface, basically. And there are lots of, more minor ways that people can do this. Audiobooks are different because with an audiobook, most audiobooks are single narrator. They're not multicast. Multicast audiobook production is its own thing, and it's I don't really do those. When there's one narrator, it's one person who's having to tell this story and do the voices, tell the stories of a potentially very diverse cast of characters. So, when it comes time for a character to speak who is of a background that doesn't match, in my case, a white guy from Texas, now living in Maine, you got to be careful. You have to approach these characters with humility, with respect, not relying on stereotype or caricature. Like, these are real, yeah, it's a fiction story in many cases, but they're real people that the author is evoking, and you got to be mindful of that. So, for example, this character that was just referenced, Stefan Dorota. I've been narrating this character for 8 books now, and he is from Mumbai, India, and he retains an accent that is frequently described in this books. And so I make sure that my accent is respectful, it's well-informed, well-researched. I have studied the accent quite a lot. I'm probably not hitting it 100%. I don't claim to be the greatest accent, reproducer on Earth. I'm not the greatest actor. But what I do is that I approach it with respect, and I'll leave it at that to say that if it comes up on here, feel free to try to clip this and get me canceled. Like, I'm an audiobook narrator. This is our job. If I were putting on this accent to try to win a job that was a commercial that was calling for someone South Asian to audition, then yeah, cancel me for that. But this is the job. This is what we're supposed to be doing. And ask anybody in the industry. I don't know. I'm gonna box these straw men until I get tired here. So let's get back into it. Where are we?
Amongst the crew.
Stefan Rota's amongst the crew. We had scrolled down to see if he was going to talk. All right, here we go. And we love Stefan. Stefan's a great character.
To see Stefan Dorota amongst
The crew. As of late, he had been assigned to the EUNF think tank labs.
To see Stefan Dorota amongst
The crew. As of late, he had been assigned to the EUNF think tank labs back on Earth, working on one of his pet projects. It was a kind of smart.
working on one of his pet
Projects. It was a kind of smart avatar construct.
Working on one of his pet
Projects. It was a kind of smart avatar construct, the top secret project having been coined. A kind of smart avatar construct, the top secret project having been coined virtual quantum simulation. Some of them called it VertQSim, but currently it is simply referred to as the QSim project. Apparently, Dorota had made a condition of his deployment that his onboard
referred to as the QSim
project. Apparently, Dorota had made a condition of his deployment that his
referred to as the QSim
Sim project. Apparently, Dorota had made a condition of his deployment that his onboard lab here on USS Crusader. Come on. Apparently, Dorota had made a condition of his deployment that his
Dorota had made a condition
of his deployment that his onboard lab here on USS Crusader.
Apparently, Dorota had made a condition of his
Deployment that his onboard lab here on USS Crusader mirror the same technologically sophisticated engineering and
here on USS Crusader
mirror the same technologically sophisticated engineering and development facilities back at the UNF.
technologically sophisticated engineering and
Engineering and development facilities. Oh my God.
technologically sophisticated
Engineering and development facilities back at the EUNF. Oh.
technologically sophisticated
Engineering and development facilities back at the EUNF. At present, Dorota worked the science station, recalibrating harmonic drift for the 3rd time this shift. Busy work. Everything worked. Everything was fine. Everything was
time this shift.
busy work. Everything worked. Everything was fine. Everything was boring as hell. The lighting was dimmed for... here we go.
Everything was
Boring as hell. The lighting was dimmed for passenger comfort. Make it feel like a cruise, not a planet cracker. My scarred thumb ached. The old Verapin injury always flared under stress. The bridge auto hatch slid open. Lieutenant Blunderton entered. Tactical...
the bridge auto hatch slid open.
Open. Lieutenant Blunderton entered. Tactical... Oh my God. Let's come back here.
Slid open. Lieutenant
Blunderton entered. Tactical commander currently...
slid open. Lieutenant
Blunderton entered. Tactical commander currently moonlighting as passenger liaison. Her collar had been smoothed twice.
Moonlighting as passenger
Liaison. Her collar had been smoothed twice already, hands rarely still. Here it comes, complaint 37 today. I saw it in her eyes before she spoke. Blunderton had been through 3 weeks of mandatory hospitality training. EUNF had brought in actual cruise ship directors to teach tactical officers how to smile through complaints, de-escalate entitled passengers, and maintain brand standards. She'd aced the course. Told me she hated every second. Captain, I apologize for the interruption, but which... told me she hated every second. Captain, I apologize for the interruption, but which VIP wants what this time? She winced. Mr. How do you say this name? Castellane? I gotta look this up, see if anyone else has this name. I'll show you how I research just to see if Castellane?
Castellan ou Caslan.
Castellan.
Castellane.
Oh, you can't hear that.
Castellane.
Castellane. So that's... Forvo is fine. Let's look at Youglish. Castellan. No results. Let's just do a regular search. It's a town in France. That's why we got some French pronunciations. Let's look. We're going to say just Castellan. I think that's how we're going to do it. We are going to check that email real quick just to see. Yeah, I know that. And then this. I think we should all be able to agree as a society. If I haven't used your service in over a year, then I don't need an account statement or like a usage update or like calling out Avis specifically. I ain't rented a car in the last year. So why do I need like a service statement or a whatever? Brother, come on. Which VIP wants what this time? Okay. Which VIP wants what this time? She winced. Mr. Castellan is requesting that we adjust our approach vector. The current trajectory... Requesting that we adjust our approach vector. The current trajectory creates gravitational fluctuations that are disrupting his... yeah. Requesting that we adjust our approach vector. The current trajectory creates gravitational fluctuations that are disrupting his meditation schedule. I closed my eyes, counted to 3. I closed my eyes, counted to 3. His meditation schedule? I'd seen Castellan's suite on the manifest. Deck 47, forward section. Floor-to-ceiling viewports. Private meditation chamber. Deck 47, forward section. Floor-to-ceiling viewports. Private meditation chamber with quantum-attuned acoustics. Acoustics? Why would I say it like that? Private meditation chamber. Private meditation reports. Private meditation chamber. Have I been resetting it? Oh, that's a bummer. I've been ready. Oh, how did that happen? I guess I've been long pressing. Oh, that's a huge bummer. All right, the timer on this is going to be off. Something. Yeah, that's a bummer. My timer. Oh, my timer. So my timer is supposed to be like start, stop, not start, stop, reset, start, stop, reset. It's supposed to pick up where you left off so that you could basically pause, start, pause is a better way to describe it. But sometimes it resets to its like factory state of start, reset, start, reset. So I've lost my timing, so I'm not going to bother with the timer anymore. I would guess we've got another 10 minutes or so of narrating would be my guess here. Reports, private meditation chamber with... Where are we?
viewports, private meditation
chamber with quantum-attuned acoustics, whatever the hell that meant, bathroom fixtures. Carrara? Surely that's Carrara. I need to look this up now. Pronunciation. Italian. Carrara.
Massa Carrara.
Thought you hear that?
Carrara.
Carrara.
Gabriele Carrara.
Carrara.
Francesco Carrara.
Francesco Carrara.
Carrera.
Carrara. Love it. What is it though? We do need to look up Euclid because it seems like this is like a kind of stone, a kind of marble. And I want to see how like an English speaker says it.
Pedrini Sculpture Studio in Carrara, Italy.
She just says Carrara.
I love the herringbone Carrara marble.
Marina di Carrara is a...
It's AI.
of this Carrara marble.
Number 8, Carrera Robot.
Marta Carrara, talented by...
Okay. Seems like English speakers just say Carrara.
And acoustics, whatever the hell that meant. And acoustics, whatever the
Hell, that meant bathroom fixtures made from actual Italian Carrara marble shipped.
And acoustics, whatever the
Hell, that meant bathroom fixture. Oh my God.
Acoustics, whatever the hell
That meant bathroom fixtures made from actual Italian Carrara marble shipped from Earth. His suite alone cost more than my annual salary. Yes, sir. He mentioned his relationship with Governor Bromley several times. He's threatening to file a formal complaint with EUNF if we don't accommodate. Tell Mr. Castellan that gravity doesn't care about his meditation, and we're maintaining course. Sir, there's a broader concern. She hesitated. Let's listen now. I said hesitated. It's a hard word for me to say.
concern. She hesitated.
I think that's fine. That's as good as it's going to get. I have a hard time with that word.
Broader concern.
She hesitated. It's not just one passenger. Several passengers have requested that we slow our approach. Okay.
Broader concern. She
Hesitated. It's not just one passenger. Several passengers have requested that we slow our approach prior to the next wormhole junction, to allow for scenic viewing opportunities of the Rigel Nebula, which should come fully in... Rigel? Gotta check Rigel. Rigel. Let's check Euclid here. I feel like I've said this before. I have not. Whoa. Rigel? Not there. Let's try here. Rigel. Okay. Well, you know what? Here's another website for you. IPA Reader.
Regal.
This is Regal, but that's for the village in Poland. We're going to say Rigel. I think that's fine. Executive decision making. As a narrator, you get to do it.
Of the Rigel Nebula, which should... Opportunities of the
Rigel Nebula, which should come fully into view. Hold on. Oh, yeah. Oh. All right.
Opportunities of the Rigel
Nebula, which should come fully into view within the next hour or so. The observation deck lounges, 3 of them, spanning decks 55 through 57, had been specifically designed for moments like this. Floor-to-ceiling diamond...
Specifically designed for moments
like this. Floor-to-ceiling diamond glass viewports, rotating platforms for optimal...
Specifically designed for moments like
this. Floor-to-ceiling diamond glass viewports, rotating platforms for optimal viewing angles, champagne service, cushioned seating...
platforms for optimal
viewing angles, champagne service, cushioned seating that cost more per square foot than most people's homes. But apparently, passing the nebula at scheduled
per square foot than most people's
homes.
But apparently, passing the nebula at scheduled velocity wasn't scenic enough. Grimes made a sound between a laugh. Scheduled velocity wasn't scenic enough. Grimes made a sound between a laugh and a groan. Mr. Grimes, would you care to explain the exasperated time to time to destination? Okay. Grimes made a sound between a laugh and a groan. Mr. Grimes, would you care to explain the exasperated time to destination domino effect caused by a lack of adherence to timetable protocols? Time to destination is no longer constant because time itself ceases to behave predictably. Okay. Time to destination is no Nope. Of adherence to timetable protocols. Time to destination. Destination. Interesting. Of adherence to timetable protocols. Time to destination is no longer constant because time itself ceases to behave predictably when relative velocity surpasses light speed. According to Einstein's special relativity, as an object approach. All right, we're gonna have to piece this together. It's a bummer, but sometimes, like when you get weird, difficult spots stacked on top of each other, you just have to slog through it. Protocols. Time to destination is no longer constant because time itself ceases to behave predictably when relative velocity surpasses light speed. According to Einstein, is no longer constant because time itself ceases to behave predictably when relative velocity surpasses light speed. According to Einstein's special relativity, as an object. Yeah, that's all fine. Okay. According to Einstein's special relativity, as an object approaches. According to Einstein's special relativity, as an object approaches the speed of light, its time relative to a stationary observer dilates, slows down. Blunderton, annoyed, waved away Grimes's ramblings. Offering up a condescending smile, she said, "Gee, thank you, Tom. I must have slept through all those weeks studying astrophysics and space-time relativity at the Academy." Ms. Blunderton, inform our guests that their request is impossible, and do so with that customer service smile you have become so proficient at. "Yes, sir," she said, turning to leave, her left hand stopping mid-motion on the way to her collar. Dorota spoke without looking up. "Galvin, I would like to address..." Okay, we need to do... So, a service that I provide to my authors and rights holders is I mark any typos or issues that I find in the manuscript as I'm reading. And here we're just missing a quotation at the end of a line. Super, super minor. What doesn't affect the narration, but it's a service that I provide, you know? Let me double check that the opening of this was right. Relativity, as an object approaches the speed of light, its time relative. Dorota spoke without looking up. So Dorota, this is Stefan. All right, another few minutes here. Dorota spoke without looking up. "Galvin, I would like to address the harmonic drift we encountered during the last wormhole transit." Transit. Motion detected in my basement. Probably a flying critter. Or sometimes I'll get like a spider come like... So we're just going to check real quick and see what's happening in the basement. What do we got? Basement. Ooh, it's a spider. Ooh! Just his legs in the very side of the frame. Ooh, his little leggies. Oh my god. All right. I don't know if you can see this, but I'll actually, let's do this. Okay. On the left side of the phone there. See his leggies? Anyway. All right, and then respond to this.
Okay.
Dorota spoke with.
Okay, Dorota. Da-da-da-da.
Dorota spoke without
Looking up. Galvin, I would like to address the harmonic drift we encountered during the last wormhole transit. Sure, it was within nominal range, but still, with half-hour sensor redundancy stripped... Sure, it was within nominal range, but still, with half-hour sensor redundancy stripped so that it can power... Sure, it was within nominal range, but still, with half-hour sensor redundancy stripped so that it can power that immersive Central Park retreat on decks 98 and 99. Yep, noted and logged, Stefan. We're all Okay, let's fix that. Half-hour sensor redundancy stripped so that it can power half-hour sensor redundancy stripped so that it can power that immersive. Okay. Yep, noted and logged, Stefan. We're all Okay. Yep. Noted and logged, Stefan. We're all happy you're keeping an eye on... We're all happy you're keeping an eye on that for this. We're all happy you're keeping an eye on that for us. Dorota glanced over to me, my smile letting him know I was purposely being... Yep. Noted and logged, Stefan. We're all happy you're keeping an eye on that for us. Dorota glanced over to me, my smile letting him know I was purposely being patronizing. My tack band vibrated. Hardy's voice came through, calm with that edge of mischief, meaning he'd done something technically correct but socially questionable. And now, you get to hear and laugh at my interpretation of this particular individual's Boston accent. Technically correct, but... He's a robot, by the way. Technically correct, but socially questionable. Cap, civilian requesting guidance... Technically correct, but socially questionable. Cap, civilian requesting guidance to the nearest restroom. Correct, but socially questionable. Cap, civilian requesting guidance to the nearest restroom. I waited. And you directed him where? Deck 47, raced... Park the car in the car park. Is that right? Technically correct, but socially questionable. Cap, civilian requesting guidance to the nearest restroom. That's fine. If I don't have a good vowel with which to sink my teeth into, there's not much I can do. To him where? Deck 47. 40. And you directed him where? Deck 47. Waste reclamation. And you directed him where? Deck 47. 40. And you directed him where? Deck 47. Waste reclamation. About 2 miles through maintenance corridors. He seemed displeased with the walking distance and... About 2 miles through maintenance corridors. He seemed displeased with the walking distance and ambiance. Why are you bothering me? The walking distance and ambiance. Why are you bothering me with this trivial BS, Hardy? That's the 4th time today. Precisely. I'm establishing a pattern. Perhaps they'll be able to read... Precisely. I'm establishing a pattern. Perhaps they'll learn to read deck maps, which would reduce my workload. Considerably. Or file... let's see here. Let's fix that before we move on. Establishing a pattern. Perhaps they'll learn to read deck maps, which would reduce my workload considerably. Perhaps they'll learn to read deck maps, which would reduce Okay. Reduce my workload considerably. Or file more complaints, and thinking about it, you don't have any workload. Now that hurts, Cap. Who do you think changes all of those? And thinking about it, you don't have any work. Let's read that better. Or file more complaints, and thinking about it? Or file more complaints, and thinking about it, you don't have any workload. Now that hurts, Cap. Who do you think changes all those out-of-reach light bulbs in the boiler room? Grimes snorted. Dorota's mouth twitched into almost a smile. Last I checked, this isn't an 18th century ocean barge. No boiler rooms and no light bulbs. ... Now the ... You might be saying, Jimmy, surely that isn't in the text. Why would you say ... Ah, is because, hold on.
And thinking about it, you don't have any workload. Now that hurts, Cap. Who do you think changes all those out-of-reach light bulbs in the boiler room? Grimes snorted.
Okay, that's good. The dot 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 is because it is, when I'm editing, these three waveforms are very distinct. And especially since I'm going to start recording right in the middle of one of these waveforms. For example, I'll show you here. 20 minutes later, we were back within the surrounding blue plasma energetics of a manufactured wormhole. Probably re-record that. But see right here, like this is the most telltale, like I know that this means this is a section break. Not a chapter break, but the author has put in a space. Sometimes some authors will do like 3 asterisks or stars or a little bit of filigree, little squigglies or something like that to sort of like, hey, this is either a point of view change or maybe some time has passed or something like that. And this lets me know that I do a little special editing thing when I get to that when I'm editing. But let's see here. The way I pronounced manufactured was weird here.
In the surrounding blue plasma energetics of a manufactured wormhole.
I actually think that was fine. Let's move on.
Plasma energetics of a manufactured wormhole. Our propulsion drives droned on with their familiar cadence while I tried not to think about where I wanted to be. I had had 3 months of quiet, me and Pristy at our Coyotes Crossing. I had had 3 months of quiet. I had had 3 months of quiet, me and Pristy at our Coyotes Crossing ranch. The grove of aspens had just started to lose their... Pristy at our Coyotes Crossing ranch. The grove of aspens had just started... The grove of aspens had just started to lose their leaves as fall was transitioning to winter. The smell of morning coffee brewing on the stove. The smell of morning coffee brewing on the stove. Actual peace. Then Gilbert destroyed all that. Nope. Let's see here. We know we want to do this. Coyotes Crossing Ranch. The grove of aspens had just started to lose their leaves as fall was transitioning to winter. The smell of morning coffee brewing on the stove. Actual peace. Actual peace. Then Gilbert destroyed all that. Dorota went very still. His fingers stopped moving, and that particular stillness made my combat instincts fire. Something was wrong, but he was processing first, the mark of a veteran. Captain, his voice was quiet, careful. Crusaders forward... His voice... Captain, his voice was quiet. His voice was quiet, careful. Crusaders forward telemetry retail... Crusaders forward telemetry... Crusaders forward... Crusaders forward telemetry relays. Crusaders forward telemetry relays just went dark. I sat forward. Clarify. All 6 remaining telemetry relays providing our relative position as well as distance to our outpoint, what would be our final approach. Okay. Telemetry retail. Okay. I think this is where I got it. Careful. Crusaders forward telemetry relays just went dark. I sat forward. Right? His voice was quiet, careful. Crusaders forward telemetry relays just went dark. I sat forward. Clarify. All 6 remaining telemetry relays providing our relative position as well as distance to our outpoint, what would be our... As well as distance to our outpoint, what would be our final approach to the Liberty World system have gone offline simultaneously. Power failure, scheduled maintenance. Offline simultaneously. Power failure, scheduled maintenance. Margot Kemp, seated at the station directly behind Dorota, joined the conversation. Sir, behind Dorota, joined the conversation. Sir, telemetry relays have triple redundant power systems and fail-safes specifically designed to prevent this scenario. They're spaced roughly 3,000 feet apart, each on its own dedicated closed-loop system. Reread that last part a little better. They're spaced roughly 3,000 feet apart, each on its own dedicated closed-loop system. She looked at Dorota, looking bewildered. All 6 failing simultaneously is statistically impossible, Dorota said. Someone took them out deliberately. Ah, shit. Statistically impossible, Dorota said. Someone took them out deliberately. 2 questions. First, how will those non-functioning telemetry relays affect our current worm... 2 questions. First, how will those non-functioning telemetry relays affect our current wormhole transit capabilities? And 2, how long until we exit this current tunnel? Grimes piped up from the helm. 6 hours at current speed. We're not flying completely blind, but I don't see how we'll exit without them. Can we navigate utilizing other ship sensors? Nella? Yes, Dorota said. But our margin for error drops to 0. If we drift even 0.03 degrees off trajectory, we impact the tunnel walls at relativistic 0.03 degrees off trajectory, we impact the tunnel walls at relativistic speeds, which I knew. The tunnel walls at relativistic speeds, which I knew would be bad. Okay. Which I knew would be bad. Instantaneous molecular dissociation, so, yes, suboptimal, Kemp added. Grimes sat back in his chair. Sir, permission to speak freely? Have at it. We need ideas. This feels wrong. Telemetry relays don't just fail like this, not all at once. Someone's fucking with us. I think we've... Someone's fucking with us. I think we've already established that, Kemp said, having moved over to Okay. Someone's fucking with us. I think we've already established that, Kemp said. I think we've already established that, Kemp said, having moved over to a seat. I think we've already established that, Kemp said, having moved over to a seat at the tactical station. But the helmsman was right. 15 years taught you to trust your gut, and mine was screaming this was sabotage, not mechanical failure. Stefan, work with Nella. Run a... Stefan, work with Nella. Run a... Stefan, work with Nella. Run a deep dive diagnostics to see how the system... Stefan, work with Nella. Run a deep dive diagnostics to see how the system failure was... Run a deep dive diagnostics to see how the system failure was initiated. The scientist shook his head, a crease forming beneath. Okay, let's fix this. See how the system failure was initiated. The scientist shook his head, a crease forming between his brows. Already attempting that, but we're not getting proper handshake protocols from any of them. It's like they've been physically destroyed or removed. Nella can't talk to circuitry that is no longer... They've been physically destroyed or removed. They've been physically destroyed or removed. Nella can't talk to circuitry that is no longer there. So you're sure about this? Can't talk to circuitry that is no longer there. So you're sure about this? Someone's... Oh, God. Oh. Pardon me while I burp. Can't talk to circuitry that is no longer there. So you're sure about this? Someone destroyed them? Or something? He pulled up additional data on his 3D... He pulled up additional data on his 3D display. Okay, here we go. Okay. Someone destroyed them? Or something? He pulled up additional data on his 3D display. Additional data on his 3D display. Okay, here we go. Galvin, I'm detecting debris. Metallic fragments, composite... Additional data on his 3D display. Okay, here we go. Galvin, I'm detecting debris. Additional data on his 3D display. Okay, here we go. Okay, here we go. Galvin, I'm detecting debris. Metallic fragments, composition consistent with telemetry relays materials.
They were definitely destroyed at their locations. I glanced up to the encircling overhead
display. Okay, here we go. Metallic fragments, composition consistent with telemetry relays materials. They were definitely destroyed at their locations.
That's fine.
Definitely destroyed at their
locations. I glanced up to the encircling overhead hatband viewport, where blue-white plasma rippled past. Plasma rippled past, hypnotic and deadly. We were inside folded space. We were inside folded space-time, traveling faster than light through a corridor barely wider. Faster than light through a corridor barely wider than the ship. Nothing should exist in here except us and that all too unforgiving plasma. Nella, bring us to battle stations. I want all hands to emergency positions. Yes, Captain. We are now at battle station. She would say stations. I'm going to say that's wrong. Okay, I want to check. Corridor barely wider than the ship. Through a corridor barely wider than the ship. Nothing should exist in here except us. No, I don't like that. Through a corridor barely wider than the ship. Nothing should exist in here except through a corridor barely wider than the ship. Nothing should exist in here except us and that all too unforgiving plasma. Nella, bring us to battle stations. I want all hands to emergency positions. Yes, Captain. We are now at battle stations. Ms. Kemp, I want every functional sensor scanning for anomalies. I have to mark another error here. Battle stations. Ms. Kemp, I want every functional sensor scanning for anomalies. God, how many more? Okay, one more page. Functional sensor scanning for anomalies. The alarms started wailing, klaxons that would make passengers scream. Functional sensor scanning for anomalies. The alarms started wailing, klaxons that would make passengers scream on a dozen decks. Klaxons that would make passengers scream on a dozen decks. They'd complain later. Let them. Copy that, sir. For anomalies. The alarms started wailing, klaxons that would make passengers scream on a dozen decks. They'd complain later. They'd them. Copy that, sir. Them. Copy that, sir, Margot Kemp said, working her board. I'm picking up additional ship systems that have been tampered. Margot Kemp said, working her board. I'm picking up additional ship systems that have been tampered with. Whatever did this was thorough and systematic, but maybe had been forced to stop. She glanced my way with a shrug. Meaning our saboteur is still in here with us. That would be the concerning implication, yes. My tack band vibrated again. It was Blunderton's voice, stress breathing. My tack band vibrated again. It was Blunderton's voice, stress bleeding through. Captain, passengers are panicking throughout the civilian sections. They're demanding to know what's happening. Tell them we're experiencing minor technical difficulties that are completely normal. Keep them calm. Sir, they heard the battle stations announce. Ugh. It was Blunderton's voice, stress bleeding through. Captain, passengers are panicking throughout the civilian sections. They're demanding to know They're demanding to know what's happening. Tell them we're experiencing minor technical They're demanding to know what's happening. Tell them we're experiencing minor technical difficulties that are completely normal. Keep them calm. Sir, they... All right. Completely normal. Keep them calm. Sir, they heard the battle station's announcements. Then tell them we're being cautiously prepared for any eventuality. Mr. Blunderton... Ms. Blunderton. Cautiously prepared for any eventuality. Ms. Blunderton, do it with that customer service smile. That's an order. Cautiously prepared for any eventuality. Ms. Blunderton, do it with that customer service smile. That's an order.
Yes, sir. 6 hours. That's an order. Service smile. That's an order. Yes, sir. 6 hours. Near blind navigation through a tunnel where the smallest error meant instant death. And something in here had systematically destroyed telemetry relays that should have guided us safely through. This retirement gig was going spectacularly. That should have guided us safely through. This retirement gig that should have guided us safely through. This retirement gig that should have guided us safely through. This retirement gig was going spectacularly.
Cool. All right. Ooh. That chapter was a lot longer than my my spreadsheet predicted. So what we're going to do, it's funny, this is coming out to just over 14 minutes. So this would be a perfectly adequate length for a 15-minute check. It doesn't have to be like exactly 15 minutes. So we don't know how long we actually recorded for, but we're still going to track the edit. Actually, first, we're going to... Very obnoxious that this happened. Please open, thank you. You. Unpausing does not reset. Hello? Like... Okay. I just had to remind it. Like, so dumb. Okay. So, all right, so we're going to see how I edit. So this should be fun. First, we're going to copy this so that we've got it on the clipboard, and then we're going to see how this goes. Delete, delete, delete. That gap gets replaced with that. These gaps get replaced with that. Now we start hitting tab to jump to the next edit point and just clicking and dragging. I would imagine this edit is only going to take, it's 14 minutes, I don't know, 3 minutes. That's with me yapping the whole time. Again, you'll notice I am not listening to any of these points. If there's something like super wonky that comes up, I will stop and listen, but generally speaking, you shouldn't have to listen to your edits. You'll develop the experience quick enough to know if an edit point is good to go or not. And that involves technique both right now in the editing, but it also involves technique in the recording. You need to make sure that when you do a punch and roll that you breathe at the same point each time. We are going to listen to this.
Engineering and development facilities back at the...
That's fine. Yeah, breathe the same way each take. If you're breathing a different way every take, that's going to make your edit, a nightmare. Because moving your edit point, I like to take the beginning of a breath when I can.
We adjust our approach vector. The current...
That's fine. I like to go at the beginning of a breath. I feel like that yields a more natural sound. But if something has happened to where I can't, that might be a spot where I need to listen to the transition. But otherwise, I'm pretty consistent about breathing the same way from take to take. And this is the kind of stuff that, you don't really get when you're doing dog clicker method. And it's just yet another thing that increases the required edit time when you're doing dog clicker, is that like just these little minor inconsistencies in the performance kind of stack up and cause your just increases your edit load. We got an email that just came in. I will check that after I am done editing this. I'm probably done after this because my voice is feeling mighty thrashed. I did some singing last night, not too much, but just double checking those points. Man, I was a little sloppy on some of these. Yeah. If what just came in is an audition like that's worth my time, I'll go ahead and knock it out. Otherwise, I think we're going to render this audio out. We're going to go ahead and upload it to Positron. But then we won't actually do the proofing here today. We'll save that for another time because my voice is pretty trashed. I think I would like very much to get something to eat and then spend the rest of my day with my lovely lady, celebrate our anniversary. 7 years, friends, 7 years. Let's listen to this.
Where blue-white plasma rippled past, hypnotic and deadly.
Okay. I just recalled that point was a weird point in recording. Just wanted to make sure I had that right. My sinuses were nice and clean for this recording. Not seeing a lot of like obnoxious sinus clicks in this waveform. That is excellent news. I don't know if it's going for a walk this morning. Doing extra loads of yapping. Stop at 4:57 on the edit. Bounce this out, call this chapter 1. Choose location. That's the wrong... what? Oh, we just don't have it here yet. 053 USS Crusader. Boom, boom. Use. Bounce. Okay, and from here we'll go to load that, make sure it's good to go, and then we'll look at audiobooks Crusader. Here's chapter 1.mp3. Upload. Cool. So that we're going to call done. Let's double check the email to make sure we don't have an audition worth doing. Let's look at these. We'll go and bring it up on stream here. Internal healthcare, already too many. This one's brand new. This one's looking for a quote. They can suck it. Test for TV show. Sailing program. So upbeat delivery mostly. Chinese names. Shenzhen, Baoan, Match Cup. That should be easy enough to find references for. I think it's just Shenzhen Baoan Match Cup continued racing on the second day of the round-robin group stage, with the 16 international teams gunning for the $200,000 prize purse, competing for just 6 places in the Cornell Final. Yeah, let's go ahead and do this. That's what we're here for, right? Let's delete these emails. We need to go over to here and look that up on. Surely we've got someone saying this. It's probably just spelled in a weird way. Okay, there's a an apostrophe here. Okay, just Shenzhen. I'm pretty sure that's right.
Shenzhen.
Let me let you hear this.
Shenzhen.
Shenzhen.
They're saying Shenzhen.
Shenzhen.
So we're going to say Shenzhen. Now this Baoan. Baoan. Okay. How do you say Baoan? Let's take a look here. Shenzhen Media Group. How about just Baoan? Like that's the one I need. Come on, guys. Oh my god. All right. Well, I think we're probably pretty close to the correct pronunciation. So we're going to go over to our audition template. We're going to go. I love my bar raider actions. Hit this. The Shenzhen Baoan Match Cup continued racing on the second day. The Shenzhen Baoan Match Cup continued racing on the second day of the round-robin group stage, with the 16 international teams gunning for the $200,000 on the second day of the round-robin group stage, with the come on. The Shenzhen Baoan Match Cup continued racing on the second day of the round-robin group stage, with the 16 international teams gunning for the $200,000 prize purse. So strange. The Shenzhen Baoan Match Cup continued racing on the second day of the round-robin group stage, with the 16 international teams gunning for the $200,000 prize purse, competing for just 6 places in the $1,000 prize purse, competing for just 6 places in the quarterfinal stage of the event. After a shaky start yesterday, we've got either a truck or maybe that's my mini split going nuts. Motion detected in my basement. Guys, the spider's back. In the quarterfinal stage of the event. After a sheer what? In the quarterfinal stage of the event. After a shaky start yesterday, with 2 wins and 2 losses, defending world champion Ian Williams from Great Britain regained his composure, drawing on all his experience to score 3 points today. Drawing on all his experience to score 3 points today. 3 points today. 3 points today. And a 3 points today. 3 points today. Today. Points today. Jesus Christ. This is the job, baby. In the quarterfinal stage of the event. After a shaky start yesterday, with 2 wins and 2 losses, defending world champion Ian Williams from Great Britain regained his composure, drawing on all his experience to score 3 points today. Drawing on all his experience to score 3 points today. 3 points today with 3 points today, and top Group A with a 5-2 victory, securing his place in the next stage of the event. However, an exciting group of rising youth stage of the event. After a shaky start yesterday with 2 wins and 2 losses, defending world champion Ian Williams from Great Britain regained his composure, drawing on all his experience to score 3 points today. Group A with 3 points today with. Okay. Is it here? On all his experience to score 3 points today, and top group. Is that an option?
To score 3 points today and
No. Ugh, I hate this.
score 3 points today and top group
It's
A
fine.
with a 5-2 victory, securing points today and top group A with a 5.
Yeah.
His experience to score 3 points today.
I just cannot say that.
His experience to score 3 points today and top group A with a 5-2 victory, securing his place in the next stage of the event. However, an exciting group of rising young match racing stars also enjoyed strong performance. His place in the next stage of the event.
God, I'm just...
And top group A with a... His experience to score 3 points today and top group A with a 5-2 victory, securing his place in the next stage.
These consonant clusters are fucking impossible.
His experience to score 3 points today. Experience to score 3 points today and top group A with a 5-2 victory, securing his place in the next stage of the event. However, an exciting group of rising young victory, securing his place in the next stage of the event.
It's fucking terrible.
Experience to score 3 points today. His experience to score 3 points today.
Oh my God.
Experience to score 3 points today and top group A with a 5-2 victory, securing his place in the next stage of the event. However, an exciting group of securing his place in the next stage of
That's fine.
Securing his place in the next stage of the event. However, an exciting group of rising young match.
All right. Here's what's happening. I've been recording for, what am I at, 2-3 hours? Yeah. I've had this door shut for nearly 3 hours. And so I've been breathing in oxygen and exhaling carbon dioxide. And I know that my error rate goes up the longer I go without opening that door. I've got a fan running with intake and exhaust, but it can only recycle so much air. And I'm absolutely reaching the point where oxygen saturation is becoming an issue. So we're going to power through this till we've got like a minute. But yeah, this is another reality of the job is like, oh, your brain is going to stop being able to make words because of the gas mix in your studio.
Securing his place in the next stage.
And also burps. Excuse me.
Securing his place in the next stage of the event. However, an exciting group of rising young match racing stars also enjoyed strong performances today, with France's Timothy... We're just going to say Timothy Rossi. Also enjoyed strong performances today, with France's Timothy Rossi finishing tied at the top of Group B, together with Oscar Engstrom from Rossi finishing tied at the top of Group B, together with Oscar Engstrom from Sweden, both of whom looked strong in all conditions. And Australia's young star Colta, whom looked strong in all conditions. And Australia's young star Cole Tapper was delighted also.
You know what? Actually, because this is Voice 123, and because like I'm reading like shit right now, we're not going to submit. Like I think this would be a fine job to submit for, and maybe I'll just leave it rather than declining. But right now, my brain, my mouth, the connection is busted. So, on that note, as disappointing as that may be, that's life, baby. Thanks for hanging out with me. I had some people drop in, so thanks for hanging out. Good to see you. Good to be seen. My name is Jimmy Moreland. VeteranAudio.com is the website. If you'd like for me to talk for you, hopefully not after 3 hours of straight talking, but if you'd like for me to talk to you, head over there, or you can drop me a direct message on Twitch, on YouTube, or via the website. Would love to chat and say hi. But until next time, thanks for hanging around. Thanks for stopping by, and we'll see you then. Cheers, y'all.